I stared at the email on my laptop screen, reading the words for the third time, hoping they'd somehow change. They didn't. Harper, we've decided the reunion is for family members who've made it. You're too poor to fit in. Don't embarrass yourself by showing up. Brittany. My cousin's words didn't just sting, they confirmed what I'd felt my whole life. I wasn't enough for them. Not pretty enough, not polished enough, and definitely not rich enough to deserve a seat at their table. I closed the laptop and leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling of my office. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I sat, in a corner office overlooking downtown Chicago, reading an email that called me poor. But they didn't know that. They didn't know anything about my life now, because I'd stopped trying to share it with them years ago. My phone buzzed, a text from my assistant, Sarah. "Everything okay? You've been quiet for 20 minutes. I typed back. "Fine. Just dealing with family stuff." Her response was immediate. "Say no more. Want me to bring coffee?" "Always." I stood and walked to the window, watching the traffic crawl below. The city was alive, humming with energy and possibility. But standing here, I felt like I was 15 again, clutching a homemade Christmas present while my cousin unwrapped a brand new MacBook. The memory hit me hard, the way painful memories do when you're already feeling vulnerable. I was 10 years old, standing in my grandmother's living room with a carefully wrapped box in my hands. I'd spent 2 weeks making a scrapbook for her, photos of us together, little drawings, pressed flowers from her garden. I was so proud of it. "Harper, honey, come here," my grandmother's voice rang out across the room, full of relatives. I clutched my gift and made my way through the crowd of aunts, uncles, and cousins. Brittany was already there, standing beside grandmother with a smug smile on her face. She'd just presented her gift, a designer handbag that probably cost more than my mum's rent that month. "Oh, Brittany, you're so thoughtful," grandmother cooed, clutching the bag to her chest. "You always know exactly what I like." I held out my box, suddenly feeling the weight of its handmade nature. "I made this for you, Grandma." She took it with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes and opened it. The room went quiet as she flipped through the pages of my scrapbook. When she looked up, her smile was tight. "Harper, dear, this is sweet, very creative." She set it aside on the coffee table. "Maybe next year you'll have something nicer to share." Brittany's laugh was barely concealed behind her hand. My uncle, Frank, chuckled from his spot by the fireplace. Even my own mother looked away, embarrassed. I spent the rest of that Christmas in the corner, watching Brittany show off her new iPad while my scrapbook sat forgotten on the table, eventually buried under discarded wrapping paper. 8 years later, I stood alone at my high school graduation, scanning the crowd for my family. They'd promised they'd come. Mum said she wouldn't miss it for the world. But as I walked across that stage and accepted my diploma, full academic scholarship to State University, top 10% of my class, the only person cheering for me was my roommate's mum, who'd felt sorry enough to save me a seat. I called my dad afterwards, still wearing my cap and gown. "Hey, Dad, just finished. Where are you guys?" "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry." His voice was distracted, background noise suggesting a party. "We're at Brittany's celebration. She got into Yale, full ride. Can you believe it? We're all here at the country club. You understand, right? This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing." I looked down at my own diploma. "Yeah, once in a lifetime. We'll celebrate yours next week, I promise." They never did. I went to my dorm room that night and took a selfie with my diploma, just me and the achievement I'd worked 4 years for. No family, no celebration, just me. That was when I started to understand I would always come second or third or not at all. But there was one moment, one brief, shining moment when I thought things might change. I was 22, working 2 jobs to make ends meet while finishing college. I'd saved for 3 months to buy my mum a watch for her birthday. Nothing extravagant, a simple Michael Kors piece from the outlet mall, but it was $200 I could barely afford, and I'd wrapped it with care. The birthday dinner was at a nice restaurant, the kind where the silverware has weight to it and the bread comes with 3 types of butter. I felt out of place in my Target dress while Brittany swept in wearing Chanel. "Happy birthday, Mom." I slid the small wrapped box across the table during dessert. She opened it with a distracted smile, glanced at the watch and said, "Oh, that's sweet, honey. Thank you." She set it aside without trying it on. Then Brittany pulled out a massive box wrapped in designer paper. "My turn." Mum's face lit up like Christmas morning. She tore into the wrapping to reveal a Gucci handbag, the real deal, probably $2,000 at least. "Oh my God, Brittany, you're the best daughter anyone could ask for." She pulled Brittany into a hug, tears in her eyes. I sat there clutching my napkin in my lap, trying to smile through the lump in my throat. That's when I heard it. Mum leaned over to my Aunt Carol and whispered, not quietly enough, "I love Harper." But she'll never understand luxury like Brittany does. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried in a stall for 15 minutes. That night, sitting alone in my apartment, I had an epiphany. I wasn't poor. My mum made decent money. I was working my way through school. I had food, shelter, everything I needed. But compared to Brittany's trust fund and my uncle's hedge fund money, I was the poor relation. And in my family, that made me disposable. I looked at my reflection in the bathroom mirror and made a decision. I'm not poor. I'm just not rich enough to matter to them. Yet. Now, 8 years later, I was 30 years old, standing in my corner office at Wilson Hotel Group headquarters. I'd built this, every property, every success, every carefully calculated risk that had paid off. I'd started at the front desk of a budget hotel chain, worked my way up to management, saved every penny and bought my first property at 25. A small, struggling motel on the outskirts of Indianapolis. I flipped it, made it profitable, sold it for double, bought 2 more properties, then 4, then 8. 5 years later, I owned 12 luxury hotels across 4 states and had a personal net worth of $47 million. And my family had no idea. The last time my mother called was 8 months ago. She needed money to fix the roof on her house, $15,000. I told her I was struggling too and couldn't help. She hadn't called since. I sat back down at my desk and opened Brittany's email again. This time I read the whole thing. "Harper, the annual family reunion is at the Grand Meridian Hotel this year. Before you ask, no, you're not invited. We've set a standard. Only family members with a net worth over $500K. You work a front desk job, right? It's embarrassing. Don't take it personally. We just want the reunion to feel prestigious. Brittany." I laughed, actually laughed out loud, because Brittany had no idea, absolutely no idea. that 3 months ago I'd acquired the Grand Meridian as part of a portfolio deal. She was planning her exclusive, prestigious family reunion in my hotel. I opened a new email and typed a short response. "Got it. Enjoy the reunion." Then I picked up my phone and called Sarah. "Yeah?" she answered on the first ring. "I need you to prepare something for Saturday." The Sterling family reunion at Grand Meridian? Her tone was knowing. Sarah had been with me since the beginning. She knew the whole story. "That's the one. I'm going to need you to pull the reservation details. Full breakdown. And Sarah? I'm attending." There was a pause. "Harper, are you sure? They don't deserve... I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing it for the 22-year-old girl who thought a $200 watch wasn't good enough." "Okay. I'll prepare everything. What's the plan?" "Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them think they've won." I smiled, looking out at my city. "And then we'll see who's too poor to attend." Over the next few days, I kept my routine normal. Meetings, site visits, conference calls with my executive team. But in the back of my mind, Saturday loomed like a storm on the horizon. Sarah brought me regular updates. "They've booked the Sapphire Ballroom, $50,000 for the venue. Brittany paid with a credit card. Her limit must be impressive." "Or Daddy's paying," I said. "What's the head count?" 42 guests. They've ordered the premium bar package and a 5-course meal. Very prestigious, she said the last word with a smirk. Friday night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed at my penthouse apartment, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was making a mistake. Part of me, the part that still ached for family, for belonging, wanted to cancel my plan. To just let them have their reunion and move on with my life. But another part of me, the part that had sat alone at graduations and birthday dinners, the part that had been called too poor and embarrassing, that part wanted justice. Not revenge. Justice. I got up and walked to my closet where I'd laid out my outfit for tomorrow. A simple navy dress, elegant but understated. No logos, no flash. I wanted to look like the version of Harper they expected to see, the struggling front desk worker who'd somehow scraped together enough confidence to crash their party. I pulled out an old shoebox from the top shelf. Inside were photographs, mementos from the years when I still believed my family would see me. I flipped through them slowly. There I was at 8, sitting at the edge of a family portrait, while everyone else clustered in the centre. There I was at 18, standing alone in my graduation cap. And there, that one hurt the most. There I was at 22, sitting at the far end of the table at Mom's birthday dinner, almost out of frame. "I didn't build this empire to prove you wrong," I whispered to the photos. "I built it to prove to myself that I was always enough, with or without your validation. But tomorrow they'd see the truth whether I wanted them to or not." Saturday arrived with perfect weather, sunny and 75 degrees, the kind of day that makes Chicago feel like the center of the universe. I took my time getting ready, doing my makeup carefully, styling my hair in loose waves. In the mirror, I looked confident, successful, put together. I looked like someone who belonged. Sarah called at 5 o'clock. "I'm at the hotel. Everything's set. Are you ready?" As ready as I'll ever be. "Harper?" Her voice softened. "Remember, you don't owe them anything, not an explanation, not a performance, nothing. You're doing this for you." I know, thank you, Sarah. I drove to the Grand Meridian in my Tesla. Not the flashy Model X, but a subtle Model 3. I parked in a regular space, not the reserved CEO spot. As I walked toward the entrance, I took a deep breath. The lobby was exactly as I remembered from my acquisition tour. Soaring ceilings, Italian marble floors, a crystal chandelier that probably cost more than most people's houses. And scattered throughout the space, laughing and drinking champagne, was my family. I spotted Brittany first. She was holding court near the concierge desk, wearing a dress that screamed, "Look at me," in all the wrong ways. Her laugh carried across the marble expanse. Then she saw me. Her face went from surprise to shock to angry in the span of 2 seconds. Oh my God, what is she doing here? Heads turned. Conversations stopped. My Aunt Carol, martini in hand, stared at me like I'd materialized from thin air. Harper, I thought we made it clear. I walked toward them slowly, my heels clicking on the marble. I just wanted to see the venue. It's beautiful. Brittany's sneer was immediate. This is a $50,000 venue rental, Harper. Can you even afford the valet parking? Laughter rippled through my cousins. I saw my mother standing near the bar, her face flushed with embarrassment. Not for me, I realized, but because of me. I was the family embarrassment, the one who didn't fit in. My Uncle Frank, the self-appointed family patriarch, stepped forward with his fake, sympathetic smile. Harper, honey, this is awkward. We set a standard, remember? You understand, right? Maybe next year when you've improved your situation. Brittany wasn't done. She moved closer, her voice getting louder, performing for the family audience. She probably snuck in. Security should escort her out. This is members only. She turned to her friends and relatives. Can you believe this? We specifically said this was for successful family members only. The murmurs of agreement hurt more than I expected. These were people who'd watched me grow up, who'd been at those same Christmas dinners and birthday parties. And not one of them spoke up for me. My mother took a step forward, her voice quiet but cutting. Harper, sweetie, maybe it's best if you... Before I go, I interrupted, keeping my voice steady. I just want to say this hotel is stunning. The marble floors, the chandelier, the view from the ballroom. Whoever owns this place has impeccable taste. Brittany scoffed, crossing her arms. Yeah, some rich family probably. People like US. She gestured around at our relatives. Not like, well. She waved her hand at me dismissively, and several cousins laughed. I walked past them toward the front desk. Behind the marble counter stood Jennifer, one of my front desk managers. She'd been briefed on today's situation, and I could see the barely contained smile on her professional face. Hi, I said clearly, my voice carrying across the now quiet lobby. I'm here to check on the reservation for the Sterling family reunion. Jennifer nodded. Of course, Ms. Wilson. Would you like me to announce your arrival to the guests? The lobby went silent. Even the ambient music seemed to fade. Ms. Wilson? My Aunt Carol's voice cracked on the words. I turned around slowly, facing my family. 42 faces stared back at me, confusion written across every single one. Let me formally introduce myself, I said, my voice calm, professional. Harper Wilson, CEO and founder of Wilson Hotel Group. You're currently standing in the Grand Meridian, one of 12 luxury hotels I own. I acquired this property 3 months ago. No one moved, no one spoke. Brittany's champagne glass hung frozen halfway to her lips. Then Sarah appeared from the back office, tablet in hand, looking every inch the efficient executive assistant she was. Ms. Wilson, should I proceed with the Sterling family's reservation cancellation, as per your earlier instruction? Brittany found her voice first. See, cancellation? Harper, you can't be serious. Aunt. I turned to Sarah, keeping my tone businesslike. Let's review. The Sterling family booked the Sapphire Ballroom for $50,000, correct? Correct. Paid via credit card under Brittany Sterling's name. The charge posted on Tuesday. Should I process the refund and cancel the event? My Uncle Frank stepped forward, his hands raised like he was calming a spooked horse. Harper, let's not be hasty. This is family. I cut him off, my voice ice cold. Family? Uncle Frank, you told me I was embarrassing to my face. Brittany sent an email banning me from this reunion because I was too poor to fit in. Mom... I looked at my mother, who finally met my eyes, hers wide with shock. Mum, you said I'd never understand luxury. You were right about one thing. I don't understand luxury as a status symbol. I understand it as something I built. Brittany's voice climbed to a desperate pitch. Harper, we didn't mean... Look, we can talk about this. It was a joke. A joke? I let the word hang in the air. You know what's actually funny? You planning your prestigious reunion at my hotel. You setting a net worth requirement of $500,000 when you have no idea that my net worth is 94 times that amount. That's funny. My father spoke for the first time, his voice barely above a whisper. Harper, How did I what, Dad? Become successful? I worked. 3 jobs during college while you were at Brittany's Ivy League parties. I saved every penny while you bought her a BMW for graduation. I bought my first property at 25 with money I earned myself, not a trust fund. I paused, and I did it all while you forgot to show up to anything that mattered to me. The silence was deafening. I could hear my own heartbeat. Then I turned back to Sarah. Sarah, cancel the Sapphire Ballroom reservation. Process the full refund to Ms. Sterling's credit card. No, Brittany lunged forward. Harper, please, do you know how hard it was to get this venue? We sent out invitations. People are here. You can't just... I can actually. It's my hotel. I looked around at all of them. These people who shared my blood, but had never made me feel like family. The Grand Meridian is open to guests who treat people with respect, regardless of their bank account. You're welcome to book another venue. I hear the Holiday Inn on 5th Avenue has a conference room available. My mother started crying, not quiet tears, but actual sobs. Harper, baby, I didn't know. If I had known you were doing so well... Stop! The word came out harder than I intended. Mum, listen to yourself. If I had known you were doing so well... That's exactly the problem. You didn't care about me when I was struggling. You only care now that I'm successful. Brittany switched tactics, her voice turning syrupy sweet. Harper, come on. We're family. We tease each other. You know we didn't mean it seriously, right? It's just how we are. Teasing is laughing together, Brittany. Exclusion is laughing at someone. You chose the latter for 30 years. Uncle Frank puffed up his chest, trying to reassert authority. Harper Elizabeth Wilson, you're being unreasonable. Yes, we made mistakes, but you're family. You don't turn your back on family over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I felt my composure crack slightly. You called me embarrassing. Brittany sent an email banning me from this event. That's not a misunderstanding, Uncle Frank. That's a choice. You all made a choice about who deserved your love and respect, and I wasn't on the list. Aunt Carol stepped forward, mascara running down her face. We'll apologise publicly right now. Whatever you want. Just don't cancel the reunion. Please. I already did. The finality in my voice made several people gasp. I saw Sarah tapping on her tablet, and I knew the cancellation was being processed in real time. Brittany's face crumpled. Harper, I'm sorry. I was jealous, okay? You always worked so hard, and I thought you were just spinning your wheels, going nowhere. I didn't know you'd become this successful. Please, I'll do anything. You were jealous? I stared at her in disbelief. Brittany, you had everything handed to you on a silver platter. Your college paid for, your car paid for, your entire life subsidized by your parents. I had to fight for every single inch, and when I was at my lowest, struggling to make rent and working double shifts, you kicked me further down. I took a breath, steadying myself. When I spoke again, my voice was calmer, but no less firm. I didn't come here for revenge. I came here because that 22-year-old girl who bought a $200 watch and felt like it wasn't enough, she deserved to see that she was always enough, with or without your approval. I looked at each of them, really looked at them. My mother still crying, my father pale and shaken, Uncle Frank deflated, Aunt Carol clutching her pearls, Brittany mascara-streaked and desperate, my cousins silent and uncomfortable. Mom, I said quietly, you chose Brittany's designer bag over my heartfelt gift. Dad, you chose Brittany's acceptance party over my graduation. All of you, every single one of you chose wealth over character, over family, over me. Harper, my father started. Now I have both wealth and character, I continued, and I'm choosing me. I'm choosing the life I built without you, the success I achieved while you ignored me, the empire I created while you were embarrassed by my existence. Sarah touched my elbow gently. Your car is ready whenever you are, Miss Wilson. I nodded, then addressed my family one final time. You're welcome to stay in the lobby for 30 more minutes. I've instructed the staff to offer you coffee and water. After that, I need the space. I'm hosting a charity gala tonight for underprivileged kids who want to pursue careers in hospitality. Kids who deserve a chance, regardless of their bank accounts. I started walking toward the exit, my heels clicking on that beautiful marble floor, my marble floor in my hotel, in my empire. Harper, wait! Brittany's voice stopped me. I turned one last time. She ran toward me, her expensive heels skittering on the polished stone. What do we have to do? What do you want from us? I looked at her, really looked at her. The perfect hair, the designer clothes, the life of privilege that had never taught her what it meant to fight for anything. And I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no desire for revenge, just peace. I don't want anything from you, Brittany, that's the point. I wanted your love when I had nothing to offer but myself. You made it clear that wasn't enough. Now I have everything, and I still don't need your approval. I walked out into the late afternoon sunshine, leaving behind the family that had never really been mine. Behind me, I heard my mother wailing, my father's attempts to calm her, the chaos of 42 people realizing they'd just been kicked out of their own party. Sarah fell into step beside me. How do you feel? I paused at my car, looking back at the Grand Meridian. My name, Wilson Hotel Group, was etched discreetly on a bronze plaque near the entrance. I'd walked past it 1,000 times while planning events, during renovations, in meetings with my team. But I'd never really seen it until now. I feel, I said slowly, like I finally know my worth. And it has nothing to do with them. Sarah smiled. Good, because you're worth a hell of a lot more than they ever gave you credit for. I got in my car and drove away from the hotel, from my family, from 30 years of trying to be enough for people who would never see me. And for the first time in my life, I felt completely, utterly free. 2 weeks passed in a blur of normal routine, meetings, property inspections, conference calls with my executive team. But the silence from my family was deafening in a way I hadn't expected. No calls, no texts, no angry emails demanding explanations, until the 3rd week. I was on my penthouse balcony, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise paint the Chicago skyline in shades of gold and pink. My phone buzzed on the glass table beside me. I glanced at the screen. Mom? Mobile? I let it ring. Voicemail picked up after 6 rings. 3 minutes later, it buzzed again. Same caller. I took a sip of my coffee and ignored it. Sarah joined me on the balcony, her own coffee mug steaming in the cool morning air. That's the 5th call this week. Your dad called twice yesterday. Brittany's called. I lost count. What did you tell them? Same thing as always. Ms. Wilson is unavailable. Should I keep blocking them? I watched a jogger 8 floors below, moving steadily along the lakefront path. Consistent, determined, alone but moving forward. No, leave the line open. If they want to reach me, they can, but I'm not chasing them anymore. Do you think they'll actually change? Sarah asked, settling into the chair across from me. I don't know, but I'm not waiting around to find out. I wasted 30 years waiting for them to see me. I'm done waiting. Sarah was quiet for a moment, then said, You know what I admire about you? My devastating wit and charm? She laughed. Besides that, you didn't just walk away from them. You walked towards something better. You built this empire not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. I thought about that as the sun climbed higher, burning off the early morning haze. She was right. Every hotel I'd acquired, every deal I'd closed, every risk I'd taken, it wasn't about revenge or validation. It was about survival, about proving to myself that the little girl who'd been overlooked at Christmas, forgotten at graduations, dismissed at birthday dinners, that she had always been worthy. She'd just been looking for approval in the wrong places. The gala's tonight, Sarah reminded me, checking her phone. Final head count is 230 students. Full house. Good. Did the scholarship letters go out? Yesterday, 25 full rides to hospitality management programs across the country. Harper, some of these kids, their stories are heartbreaking. Single parents, foster care, homelessness. You're changing lives. They're changing their own lives, I corrected. I'm just opening a door. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Brittany. Harper, please, we need to talk. I know I messed up. We all did. But your family, that has to mean something. Please call me back. I deleted it without responding. That evening, I stood in the Grand Meridian Sapphire Ballroom, the same space my family had tried to book for their exclusive reunion. But tonight, it was transformed. Instead of champagne fountains and pretentious centerpieces, the room was filled with young people in their best outfits, some borrowed, some thrifted, all worn with pride and nervous excitement. These were the scholarship recipients, the future of hospitality. Kids who'd been told they couldn't afford college, that their dreams were too big, that they should be realistic. Kids who reminded me so much of myself. I moved through the crowd, shaking hands, learning names, hearing stories. A young man named Marcus from Detroit, whose father was incarcerated and whose mother worked 3 jobs. A girl named Destiny from rural Kentucky, who'd aged out of foster care at 18. A non-binary student named River from Seattle, who'd been kicked out by their parents at 16. Each story was different. Each story was the same. They'd all been told they weren't enough. "Miss Wilson?" I turned to find a young woman standing behind me, nervously clutching a champagne flute of sparkling cider. She was maybe 18, with warm brown skin and hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her dress was simple but elegant, probably from Target or H&M, chosen with care. "Yes? I'm Lily Martinez. I just wanted to thank you. This scholarship, it's everything. My family said I couldn't afford college, that hospitality was a waste of time. But you made it possible." I studied her face, seeing echoes of my own younger self in her uncertain smile. "Lily, you didn't need me to make it possible. You made it possible by working hard and believing in yourself when no one else did. I just opened a door. You walked through it." Her eyes filled with tears. "My family didn't even come tonight. They said this gala was for dreamers, and dreamers don't pay bills." The words hit me like a physical blow. I put my hand on her shoulder. "Then prove them wrong. Not for them, for you." "And Lily?" "Yes? You're already enough. Don't ever forget that." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "Thank you, really, thank you." As she walked away to join her friends, Sarah appeared at my elbow. "You just gave her the speech you wish someone had given you." "Yeah," I said quietly. "I did." The gala continued around us, laughter, music, the clinking of glasses. These students were celebrating not just scholarships, but possibility. The chance to build lives on their own terms, to prove that where you start doesn't determine where you finish. I'd given them money for education. But what I really hoped I'd given them was permission to believe in themselves. Around 10 o'clock, as the event was winding down, my phone buzzed insistently in my clutch. I stepped out onto the hotel's rooftop terrace, where the city lights twinkled like a terrestrial reflection of the stars above. 7 missed calls, all from my mother. Against my better judgment, I called her back. She answered on the first ring. "Harper, oh thank God, I've been trying to reach you for weeks." "What do you want, Mom?" Silence. Then, in a small voice, "I want to apologize. We all do. Your father and I, Brittany, Uncle Frank, everyone, we were wrong. So wrong. Okay?" I kept my voice neutral, waiting. "Harper, please, can we meet? Talk this through? You're our family, our daughter. We miss you." "You miss me? Mum, where have you been for the last 30 years? "Because I've been right here waiting for you to see me, to value me, to show up for me." "I know, baby, I know, and I'm so sorry. If I could go back and change things, but you can't," I interrupted. "You can't go back and attend my graduation. You can't go back and call me on my birthday. You can't go back and tell 18-year-old me that I mattered, even without the designer clothes and the trust fund. Harper, do you know what hurt the most? It wasn't that you loved Brittany, it's that you only had room to love her. Like there was a finite amount of love in our family, And she got all of it, and I got the leftovers, except there were no leftovers. There was nothing. I could hear her crying on the other end of the line. Part of me, the little girl who still wanted her mother's approval, ached to comfort her. But the woman I'd become, the woman who'd built an empire from nothing, knew better. "I'm not trying to be cruel," I said more gently. "But I need you to understand, you can't start over after 30 years of making someone feel invisible. You can only move forward, and I'm moving forward without people who only see my value when there's a $sign attached to it. So that's it?" Her voice broke. "You're cutting us off after everything?" "After everything?" I felt a flash of anger. "Mum, I'm not the one who cut anyone off. You did, for years. I'm just finally accepting it. Your father wants to talk to you. Please, just give him 5 minutes. I have to go. There's a gala happening. Students who actually appreciate what they've been given." "Harper, wait." I ended the call and stood there on the rooftop, the cool night air washing over me. Below, the city hummed with life. Somewhere down there, Lily was celebrating her scholarship. Marcus was planning his future. River was texting friends about their fresh start. And I was here, free from the weight of expectations I could never meet. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. "Please call me. Let me explain. We love you." I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Love isn't a feeling, Dad. It's a choice. It's showing up. It's being present. It's celebrating someone's wins and supporting them through losses. You chose Brittany. I've accepted that. Now I'm choosing myself." I didn't wait for a response. I turned off my phone and went back inside to the gala, where people who understood struggle and triumph were toasting to their futures. 3 days later, I was in my office reviewing acquisition proposals when Sarah buzzed me. "Harper, Brittany is here, in the lobby. She's asking to see you." I looked up from my laptop. "Did she have an appointment?" "No, she just showed up. She's a mess, Harper, like really crying. The front desk doesn't know what to do with her." I closed my laptop and leaned back in my chair. "Send her up." 5 minutes later, Brittany walked into my office. Sarah was right. She was a mess. No makeup, hair in a ponytail, wearing jeans and a Northwestern sweatshirt. I'd never seen her so undone. "Harper," her voice cracked. "Thank you for seeing me. You have 10 minutes. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. She sat down, clutching a tissue. "I don't even know where to start." "How about with why you're here?" "Because I'm sorry. Because I was wrong. Because I've been a terrible cousin and an even worse person." I waited, saying nothing. "After the reunion, after you left, everything fell apart. Mum and Dad started fighting. Uncle Frank had a heart attack scare. Your mum has called my mum crying every single day." "And me?" She laughed bitterly. "I realised that my entire identity was built on being better than you, richer than you, more successful than you. And when that illusion shattered, I had to face the fact that I'm not actually anything." "Brittany, no, let me finish, please." She wiped her eyes. "I got my job through Dad's connections. My apartment is paid for by my trust fund. My life has been handed to me on a silver platter. And I've done nothing to earn any of it. You built an empire from nothing. While I was partying at Yale on my parents' dime, you were working 3 jobs and planning your future. You're everything I pretended to be. I studied her carefully, looking for manipulation, for the angle, but I saw only raw, messy honesty. I was jealous, she continued, from the time we were kids. You were smarter than me, harder working than me, more creative than me. But I had money, so I convinced myself that made me better. And our family let me believe it because it was easier than admitting they valued wealth over character. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to hear it. Because I need to apologize. Not so you'll forgive me or come back to the family, but because you deserve to know that what we did to you was wrong. It was cruel. And I'm sorry. I was quiet for a long moment. Outside my office window, the city stretched out in all directions. Buildings I owned, streets I'd walked as a struggling young woman with big dreams and no support. I appreciate the apology, I finally said. I do, but Brittany, an apology doesn't erase 30 years of hurt. It doesn't give me back the graduations you all missed, the birthdays you forgot, the moments when I needed family and got silence instead. I know. And it doesn't change the fact that you only realized your behavior was wrong after I became successful. If I was still working a front desk job, would you be here? Would you be sorry? She opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the answer. I don't hate you, I said. I don't hate any of you. But I also can't go back to pretending that we're a functional family. We're not. We never were. What if we could be? Her voice was desperate. What if we started now? What if... Brittany, stop. I kept my tone gentle but firm. You can't build a foundation on quicksand. Our family was built on the idea that some people matter more than others based on their bank accounts. That's not a family, that's a hierarchy. And I'm not interested in fighting for a higher position in it. She stood up, defeated. So that's it? We just never see each other again? I don't know what the future holds, but right now I need space. I need to live my life without constantly wondering if I'm enough for people who have made it clear I'm not. For what it's worth, Brittany said at the door, you were always enough. We were just too shallow to see it. After she left, I sat alone in my office, staring at the family photo on my bookshelf, the one from my grandmother's house with me on the edge of the frame. I'd kept it all these years as a reminder. I walked over and picked it up, looked at my 8-year-old face, already learning to be invisible. Then I placed it face down in my desk drawer and closed it. Some reminders weren't worth keeping. That night I went home to my penthouse and stood on the balcony with a glass of wine, watching the city lights. My phone sat on the table beside me, silent for the first time in weeks. I thought about Lily at the gala, about her family who didn't show up because hospitality was for dreamers. I thought about all the students I'd met who'd been told they weren't enough, who'd fought anyway, who'd built futures despite the odds. And I thought about myself at their age, desperate for validation, convinced that if I just worked harder, achieved more, proved myself more thoroughly, my family would finally see me. But I didn't need them to see me anymore. I saw myself. I pulled out my phone and typed a message to Sarah. Next year, let's double the scholarships, 50 students, and let's start a mentorship program. Pair them with executives in the industry who actually care about lifting people up. Her response was immediate. Consider it done. You're going to change so many lives, Harper. I smiled at the screen. Maybe I would. Not by having the most money or the biggest empire, but by being the person I'd needed when I was young and scared and certain I wasn't enough. My phone buzzed with another text, this time from my mother. Harper, your father is in the hospital. Chest pains. Please come. We need you. I stared at the message for a long time, my wine glass forgotten in my hand. This was it. The moment every family drama came down to. The medical emergency. The crisis that was supposed to heal all wounds and bring everyone back together. But I wasn't a character in a movie. I was a real person with real wounds that didn't heal because someone called from an emergency room. I called Sarah. Can you check on something for me? My father apparently had chest pains. Find out which hospital, what his condition is, and get me a direct line to his doctor. On it. 10 minutes later, she called back. Northwestern Memorial. He had an anxiety attack, not a heart attack. Doctor says he's fine, just stressed. They're keeping him overnight for observation, but he's stable. Thank you. Are you going to go? I looked out at the city, my city, the one I'd conquered on my own terms. No, but I'll send flowers with a note that says, glad you're okay, take care of yourself. Harper. If he was dying, I'd go, but he's not. He's stressed because his family drama is catching up with him, and showing up at that hospital would send the message that I'm available for emotional labour whenever they decide they need me. I'm not. Okay, I'll handle the flowers. After we hung up, I sat with my decision, waiting for guilt to wash over me. It didn't. Instead, I felt peace. I'd spent 30 years running toward people who kept walking away. Now I was standing still, and they were the ones chasing me. And I didn't owe them the satisfaction of being caught. The next morning, I received a furious email from Uncle Frank. Your father is in the hospital, and you can't even be bothered to visit. You've become exactly what you accused us of being, cold, heartless, obsessed with success at the cost of family. Congratulations, Harper. You've proven you're no better than us. I read it twice, then forwarded it to my therapist with a note. Exhibit A, why boundaries are necessary. Dr. Chen called me an hour later. Harper, how are you feeling about all of this? Surprisingly okay. Is that wrong? Why would it be wrong? Because they're my family. I should want to fix things, right? I should want to make peace and move forward and all those healthy relationship things. Should, according to whom? I was quiet. Harper, Dr. Chen continued gently. Healthy relationships require mutual effort, respect, and willingness to change. From what you've told me, your family hasn't demonstrated any of those things. They've apologized only after discovering your success. They're reaching out only now that you've set boundaries. That's not change, that's manipulation. So what do? You keep doing what you're doing. You live your life. You build your empire. You help kids who need mentors. And if your family genuinely changes, not because you're successful, but because they recognize their behavior was wrong, then maybe someday there's room for conversation. But that's a choice you make on your timeline, not theirs. Thank you. After the call, I went to my office and threw myself into work. A new acquisition in Denver, renovation plans for the property in Nashville, marketing campaigns for the summer season, real problems with real solutions. At lunch, Sarah brought me a salad and a curious look. Your mum is downstairs again. She brought your dad this time. Is he still supposed to be in the hospital? Checked himself out this morning. I sighed. Okay. Send them up. Both of them. 5 minutes later, my parents walked into my office. Dad looked older than I remembered, greyer, more tired. Mum's makeup couldn't quite hide the bags under her eyes. "Harper," Dad's voice cracked, "thank you for seeing us." "You have 15 minutes. They sat down across from me, and for the first time in my life, I saw them clearly. Not as the parents I'd wished for, not as the villains I'd painted them as, but as flawed, complicated people who'd made choices that hurt me. "We're sorry," Mum started. "We know we've said that already, but we mean it. We failed you as parents. We let you down in every way that mattered." "Why?" The question came out harder than I intended. "Why did you always choose Brittany over me?" They looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them. Finally, Dad spoke. "Because she needed us more." I blinked. "What?" "Brittany has always been fragile," Mum said carefully, "since she was little. She needed constant validation, constant attention. If we didn't praise her, she'd fall apart. You were different. You were strong, independent. We thought," her voice broke, "we thought you didn't need us as much. So you abandoned me because I was strong?" "We didn't see it as abandonment," Dad said. "We saw it as trusting you to be okay on your own." I laughed, a bitter sound. "Do you hear yourselves? You're literally admitting that you gave all your love and attention to the child who demanded it and neglected the one who was quietly suffering. That's not parenting. That's taking the path of least resistance." "You're right," Mum said. "You're absolutely right, and we're sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix 30 years of damage." "We know," Dad said, "but we want to try. We want to be in your life, Harper, really be in it, not just show up now that you're successful, but because you're our daughter and we love you." I looked at them, really looked at them, saw the desperation in their eyes, the hope that this conversation would somehow reset everything, and I felt nothing, no anger, no satisfaction, no desire for revenge or reconciliation, just exhaustion. "I need time," I said finally. "I need space to figure out who I am without constantly trying to earn your love. Maybe someday we can have a relationship, but it won't be the one we had. That one is dead, and honestly, it deserves to stay dead." "Harper, I'm not saying never, I'm saying not now. And maybe not for a long time. You need to accept that." They left quietly without argument. After the door closed behind them, I sat at my desk and cried, not because I was sad, but because I was free. That evening, I went back to the Grand Meridian for a meeting with my events team. As I walked through the lobby, I saw Lily, the scholarship student from the gala, working at the front desk as part of her work-study program. "Ms. Wilson," her face lit up. "How are you?" "I'm good, Lily. How's your first week?" "Amazing. Everyone here has been so welcoming. I'm learning so much." She paused, then added shyly, "My family called yesterday. They saw a picture of the gala on Instagram. My mum said she was proud of me." "That's wonderful." It felt good to hear, but honestly, even if she hadn't called, I'd still be okay because I'm proud of me. I smiled, feeling something warm bloom in my chest. That's all that matters. As I walked away, I pulled out my phone and looked at the message from my mother. "Please, Harper, we love you. That has to count for something." I typed a response. "Love is a verb, Mom. It requires action. When you're ready to show me through consistent behavior over time, not just words, we can talk." Until then, I wish you well. I hit send, then put my phone away. Above me, the Grand Meridian's chandelier sparkled like captured starlight. My hotel, my empire, my life, built by me, for me, on my terms. And for the first time in 30 years, that was enough. Have you ever been excluded by family because they didn't think you were successful enough? Drop your story in the comments below, and if this resonated with you, subscribe. Because you deserve to know that your worth isn't determined by anyone's approval, but your own. You're not alone, and you're already enough.